Hello, family. I hope you are doing well. Welcome to Your Marriage and Narcissism. We are in the section of overcoming narcissism in marriage. That's the healing and restoration series. We believe that even with narcissism, a marriage can be restored if the narcissist at least sees a little light into their darkness and is willing to make some effort. And if the empath or the victim of the narcissist also has acquired enough knowledge in order to put in protective barriers not to allow themselves to be destroyed by the narcissist, then something can be worked out instead of a complete shutdown. We are not saying if your life is in danger, don't leave. But what we are saying is that we are trying to look for both biblical and scientific ways to help reduce the number of marriages that break down due to narcissism. Okay, so with the help of God, we are seeing what we can do, facing the truth and still adding compassion, the wisdom of God, and scientific knowledge to see how best we can help. And we are in the part 5 of overcoming narcissism, and today we are looking at breaking the control patterns. Like we learned yesterday, the narcissist's brain is scientifically, it's damaged. Okay, it is stuck at the toddler stage where they were experiencing the trauma of abuse, neglect, or whatever, that they held on to that bitterness, that pain, and they were not able to grow out of it. So all the other areas of their lives have grown, but that aspect of their brain, okay, the anterior insula, has not developed. The gray matter there is far less than it is in the normal person's brain. Okay, because they live in reaction to the childhood trauma that they may have experienced, they are always on the edge, and they know that they went through that trauma because somebody else was in control of their life. They were in a vulnerable state, and the person who had control over their lives put them through what was traumatic. So as they have grown, they are fighting to redress that situation. They are fighting not to let anybody else have control over their lives. Even in the places where they pretend, where they seek to allow control, it is just pretense. It is just a mask to cover things up so that they will not be found out. Okay, but when the cameras go off, when the public leaves, the true nature comes out. And this is why it is often the spouse who suffers the most, because the narcissist may go to work and behave perfectly, they may go to church and behave perfectly, but when they are behind closed doors with their spouse, that's where everything now comes out. Okay, so ceding control for their spouse is a very, very difficult thing for them, because there's always that unconscious fear. Now, know that the narcissist does not even know all these things are happening. Most times they know something is not right, but they don't really understand. It's you standing outside that can see their behavior. That's why they always don't admit it, because for them, that's the normal thing. They are stuck in a certain place. That is how they feel they have to speak. Okay, it's like taking my son from here to Ghana and expecting him to speak like a Ghanaian. He'll tell you there's nothing wrong with how he speaks. That's how he speaks, because his brain is stuck to the British accent where he was born and grew up in. That is how it is. Okay, so they really want to be in control over everything, and that is what leads to the lies, the gaslighting, all the manipulations, all the strange behavior. It's all to have control. That is why it is easy for them to, let's say when it comes to infidelity, to move out and almost always want to have affairs with people they can control. So it's either your driver, a house help, a young man, a young woman, a child, an animal. They don't go for somebody who can control them. They always go for somebody they can control. So they go downwards most of the time, or somebody who doesn't have power over them, because they just want where they can have control. They always want where they can have control. But if the marriage is going to work, they have to understand that what they are doing is destroying everything. So they have to wake up and understand that they need to allow their spouse also into their lives. They need to allow their spouse access. They need to allow their spouse a say. Marriage is a partnership. It's not colonization. It's not slavery. You don't own your spouse. And most of the time, that's what it does. If you don't put in the proper systems, the narcissist will just swallow you up and you just become a shadow. You become a pet. They just use you for what they want whilst they live their life. It's not so. So it's not right for it to be so. So they have to allow control. How are they going to do that? They have to literally release. They have to understand that they are not God. Only God has total control. Even He has given man free will, that I will still not force you to even choose me. Yet the narcissists want to force you to choose them. They'll force you to anything. They will force you to do what they want. Even God gives man free will. So let them understand that they are not God and they don't have that right, and insisting that you just shadow their lives is ruining you and is ruining the marriage, and you it's not something you are willing to take. And if that has to carry on, then you may have to go find your freedom elsewhere. So they have to let go. They have to allow God to reign. They have to allow God to take control. They should not insist on knowing and having power over the outcomes, over everything. They have to allow things to flow. There will be places where they will be allowed to control, and there are places where they also have to allow their spouse to control. It doesn't stop anything. Okay, it doesn't stop anything. They have to allow, release control. In Proverbs 3:5-6, it says that trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him and He shall direct you. But they should just allow God to lead instead of wanting to be in control. Eventually it destroys everything, because you are a mere human being. You don't have that power. Number 2 is to learn to trust God with the outcomes. Learn to trust God with the outcomes. Psalm 55:22, it says that commit your way to the Lord and trust in Him and He will do this. He will bring it to pass. Okay, so they should learn to know that if they really know God and they trust God, they should believe that if they leave things in God's hands, He will perfect everything that concerns them. Okay, so they should trust God with the outcome. They should not insist that they must have a final say over everything, because they are mere mortals. They are mere humans. That also means, number 3, they have to allow their spouse's freedom. Most narcissists do not allow their spouse's freedom to choose their own job or to even work, to run their businesses, to run their ministry. They have to involve themselves by any means so that they can see everything that is going on, so that they can control everything. That should not be. They should be willing to step back and allow their spouse to flourish. Just as they will not allow, interestingly, they will not allow their spouse to interfere with what they do, but they insist that they must interfere with what their spouse do. Allow your spouse to work, allow your spouse to run their ministry, allow your spouse to follow their career, to follow their talent, to grow themselves, allow your spouse to have their friends, to reconnect with their family. Allow your spouse freedom of movement, allow your spouse freedom of finances. Let them be able to have control over their finances. That is true love. True love is not forced. True love is not manipulated. True love is when your spouse chooses you, when they have every right and every power to choose someone else, but they still choose you. So that is what you deserve. Allow them to choose you instead of forcing them to be in a place where they have no option but to choose you. That is evil. That is wickedness. All right, so give them space to be who God created them to be. Galatians 5:13 says that serve one another humbly and in love. Number 4 is now to learn how to replace manipulation with honesty. The gaslighting, the lies, the deceptions, the flying monkeys, people you influence to manipulate your spouse or to control your spouse or to attack your spouse or to advise them with information that you have given them, all those, the triangulation, or bringing third parties in and trying to invoke jealousy and all those things. They have to go, the secrets you have kept so that you can use to manipulate, you have to reveal them, you have to bring them out. Okay, all the manipulation, the roller coaster, emotional roller coaster, lies, crying, anger, going smear campaigns, spoiling your spouse's name in public, they should all stop. You just have to say that from today, I want to be in this marriage with clean hands. I have done manipulations enough. I have tried to control things enough. It hasn't helped. As Ephesians 4:25 says, therefore, each one of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to their neighbor. Okay. Number 5, practice surrender. Just allow God to lead. That is Luke 22:42, where Jesus says, not my will, but yours be done. Come to a place where you surrender your will to God. Say, God, this marriage is yours. Take control. I allow you to lead. And whatever your will is, I agree. I surrender. And you see your marriage bounce back to life. God bless you. And I'll come your way again. Bye-bye.